Welcome to our general use video on how to use AAE's PLC controls. As you can see, when you first turn the control on, we have what we call our I/O screen, and you can see the various buttons here for navigating throughout the control. Let's take a look at the control first, or at the screen, where you can see the I list. These are your inputs, and typically you'll be looking at 1 through 4, and we'll show you later that they will be highlighted if we're getting input signals from the machine that it's controlling. Down here on the Q line, it tells us what's getting outputs. So output 1, 2, 3, or 4 will be activated when they're highlighted. This is great for troubleshooting and for just general understanding of what's going on with your machine. Now let's talk about the buttons. The first button we want to look at is the escape button. This escape button will go back to the I/O screen from wherever you are, or back one screen at a time if you've made progress through the menus. But if you press it enough times, it will take you back to the I/O screen, and then it will alternate between the I/O screen and the parameter screen. And the important thing about the parameter screen is this is where we set it in the run or stop mode, which we'll cover in a second. So I want to go back to this screen, and if I want to look at the operational menus, I just hit the select button. And the select button is very important, and it has several different functions. One is to activate the operational menus, and 2 is to select whatever item or parameter that you're trying to adjust. And the arrow keys helps you move around. So after pushing the select button one time, you can see I've come onto the main screen. This happens to be a loader, but this would be the same with any device. And there's several settings that I can change here, or parameters. If I hit the arrow key down, I will go from screen to screen through the operational screens. And we will have a separate video on each software program to explain what you do. But as you can see, with the arrow key, I can go from one place to another. And let's say I want to change the version on time in this particular loader. The first thing I do is I want to select this operational screen for change. So I'll hit select. And you can see there's a highlighted number there, which I can move around to any of the parameters on that screen. And I can use the arrow keys just to get to that. Once I get to a digit I want to change, again I will select that. Once I select it, I can change that digit up and down with the arrow keys. When I reach the number or digit that I want, I simply click on OK, and I have made the change. To get out of that mode, I can hit escape. And now I'm just on that screen again, and I can go back from screen to screen. At any time, if I don't know where I am or want to get someplace, I can just hit escape, and it will take me back to the I/O screen. Now, one of the most important things to understand about this control is the run-stop mode. This is where the controller is actually running the program or not running the program. And you can see on the I/O screen here that this controller is actually in the stop mode. So this means that you can change the variables, but the program's not running, and it will not run the machine. So this is good if you have a loader and you don't want it to run at the moment. You can just go into the control and put it in stop mode. You have all the power on, it could run, but it's not running until you go into the run mode. And to change that from the I/O screen, you just hit escape. And you can see when you hit escape, it indexes between the I/O screen. And for the moment, let's call the stop run screen. Again, I just have to move the arrow key down to run. I want to select that to change it. And I want to say, OK, I want it to run. And then it's going to ask me, are you sure? And I'm going to say, OK. Now it's in the run mode, and you can see that the control is activated. And for example, if I was to activate an input, which would represent a material switch in this loader, it immediately starts to load and run through the program. And this is how the basic system works. Your I/O is up here, your inputs, and your outputs are here. If I wanted to go into the stop, I would generally escape at that point, go back to the I/O screen. You can see the highlighted I/O, so you can always tell what the controller is trying to do from the I/O screen. I have a single input, and the loader is, in this case, loading the material into the hopper. If I turn that off, you will see that it will finish that load, and it won't load anymore, and now it's cleaning the filter in this particular case. So you can see in the run mode, we're operational. In the stop mode, we're not. This can be confusing. It only relates to the PLC, not to the operational program that you see in the operation menu. For example, with feeders, we have a run mode, which means you're actually running the machine in the injection cycle, and then we have the calibration mode. This strictly relates to the PLC control, whether it's going to run its program or not. I hope that's helped, and if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call at 800-918-5820.